Hello, Master Manifestors. It is Olivia Grace, and I'm back with another video for you guys. And today we are talking about the do's and don'ts of dealing with 3D. I'm going to start off telling you guys what not to do and how these things that you guys may or may not be doing are hindering you. And then I'm going to give you guys some solutions of what to do instead. And this video is going to be really important, so you should go ahead and like it. Go ahead and comment, go ahead and subscribe, because it's going to be really helpful to all of you guys, because this is probably one of the biggest things other than, having a limited mindset. The 3D is probably one of the biggest things that trips up the most experienced manifestors. So we're going to be talking about that today. And I am just intending, before I begin, that this prospers every single person that sees this video, that you guys gain clarity, and most importantly, gain your manifestations after watching this video, because that's really, really the state that you're in, especially for you guys that have been manifesting for a long time and not seeing results, especially for you guys that are going through an SP journey, and especially for you guys who are feeling burnt out or feeling triggered or whatever is going on because of the 3D. This video is really going to help you. So before we get into that, I am Olivia Grace. I am a manifestation teacher, guidance person, mentor, coach, whatever you want to call that. And I am here to assist you guys in manifesting everything that you want. I talk about manifestation, law of assumption, law of attraction, all of that on this channel. So if you're interested in understanding your manifestations and getting what you want, then you're in the right place and you should be a part of this community and subscribe. I have all my links in the description if you guys want help with me, if you would like a one-on-one session to gain clarity, to have me guide you through stats or revision scenes, then you can do that. I also have my TikTok and my Instagram in the description as well. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So let's talk about 3D. So the first thing that I want to say is the 3D cannot be your decision to what you will have or not have, okay? And I'm going to say that one more time. The 3D cannot be the decision maker to what you are going to have or not have. The 3D that you are experiencing is made up of all of your thoughts, beliefs, all of these things that you have been associating with, right? It's the byproduct of a reality that you already created, right? Abraham Hicks talks about it as gum with the flavor chewed all out, right? So it's the old story in a sense. So if you are, okay, basically think about it like this. If you are making a cake and you are in the action of mixing up everything in your bowl, right? And you have that cake batter there. If you look at that cake batter and say, this liquidy mess could never turn out to be a round, firm, delicious cake, so I'm just not even going to bake it. Like, there's just no point. I mean, look at it. It's completely liquidy and I'm trying to make a cake. This is nothing like a cake. Well, that's what you're doing when you're looking at your 3D circumstances and saying, oh, well, this is going on, so that means that what I want and what I've been affirming in and persisting in is not happening, right? You are accepting what has been created, not what is to come, right? So let's get into these do's and don'ts, all right? So the first thing is stop checking the 3D for your manifestation, okay? Because checking the 3D for whatever it is that you're manifesting, you are coming out of the state of having to check if it's there. If you have something, right? Let's say you have a cat, right? You don't open your door, in your house and say, do I have a cat? Do I really have a cat? I mean, I guess my cat's coming. You know that you have a cat. You're not checking for the cat, right? Now, let's say you're manifesting a cat and you are all the time checking, like, maybe you live with your parents and your parents say you can't have a cat. So you're asking your parents every day, Like, have you changed your mind about the cat? Have you changed your mind about the cat? Have you changed your mind about the cat? And they're like, no. Now what you're doing, it literally makes it harder for you guys because you're giving yourself more evidence of your old story, of the current circumstances that you don't want. And I won't say it's undoing, what you've been persisting in and affirming, but it's causing you to have more resistance, more back and forth. Now you have more evidence, physical evidence that it's not working for me, right? Which discourages you and kind of builds up the other side that you don't want to build up. You want to build up the faith side of I do have what I want. So Neville said in one of his lectures or books or something, he was saying you can't be conscious of having it and still be wondering where is it going to come from, right? You can't be conscious of having it and still be wondering, is it going to happen, right? Those are two very different states. And that's why I said this is for you guys that have really been kind of going through, you guys have been trying, maybe you've been trying, and nothing seems like it's working, right? If you're in the state of keeping checking, right? Keep checking. All you're doing is coming out of your state of the wish fulfilled to check. So instead of checking the 3D, here's your do for that. Okay. What you do want to do is you can either ignore or accept the 3D. And I'm going to explain both of those, right? And whichever one that you choose, it's whichever one feels better for you in the moment. Okay. Now, as an experienced manifester, or maybe not even experienced manifester, just someone who's very imaginative, right? Which I've been talking about. This is what makes manifestation easy and makes you be able to manifest impossible things or hard things, is being able to see beyond what's real, right? What's solid. Be able to see beyond the facts, right? And realize that you are creating the facts, right? Someone said a while ago, either you're persisting in your old story or you're persisting in your new story. And for me, that really switched something for me, because it's like, even if it's taking so long, even if I feel like I'm, failing, whatever is going on, I would much rather give attention and persist in my new story than continue to add momentum and energy to my old story that I don't want anymore, regardless of what I'm seeing in the 3D, right? So now, ignoring. So I say all that to say, when you know that and I'm not talking about like knowing conceptually that, okay, I'm creating my reality. Okay, I've watched all the videos, it makes sense. But you see your thoughts come into form all the time. And this is where I say, practicing and manifesting many things in your life makes it much easier for you to have faith throughout the periods of no movement in 3D, or throughout the periods of opposite results or whatever, because you trust the process of your mind manifesting as your reality, right? So when you do that, when you have that, it's easy for you to ignore the 3D, because you know that it doesn't matter. It really, truly has no power. It has no power over you. You have power over it, but you're so powerful that you can give your power to the 3D, right? So if you can just be imaginative, if you're good at being delulu, right, then ignore it, right? Or mentally reject it, right? That's what I do. When I see something I don't want, I mentally reject it and I reaffirm what I choose it to be, right? So you can ignore it, but sometimes things are triggering, right? Sometimes when you're emotionally involved in something, or you're something that is showing up in your face all the time, it's hard to ignore it, right? Something that you have to deal with on a daily basis, it's hard to ignore, right? So then go into acceptance, because again, even the circumstances in your life, even the 3D, even whatever the opposites results or no movement, you have the power to decide what that means. You have the power to say, oh, this means that it's not working. This means that nothing is happening. I haven't heard from my SP. So that means that he's not thinking about me. And the same way that you can accept that, you could think that, oh my gosh, I haven't heard from him. And I know it's just because he's back and forth in his mind. He's wanting to reach out to me and he just wants to make sure that he comes correct, right? That's just like, you create the story, right? And we tend to make assumptions that things aren't working out for us, which is not our fault. We're in a world that perpetuates that idea that things are going wrong, everything's horrible, right? But you as a conscious creator, you can accept what's in front of you as an unfolding. And, in my own experience on my SP journey, a lot of unfavorable things or a lot of, spiraling that happened with me or triggers, all these things still ended up being catalyst and being moments that actually helped me move forward on my SP journey, right? So, and you can ignore and completely mentally deny it if you feel in your power enough to do that, or you can accept and embrace, right? You can accept and embrace that this is a part of my unfolding. Another channel, the channel is called Illuminating Joy. She teaches law of attraction. But just side note, you guys, I like, especially for you guys that have been manifesting for a long time and manifesting SPs and all this stuff, sometimes I feel like some law of attraction stuff is helpful. It's just it's easier on yourself. It's easier on your quality of life instead of mulling over everything all the time, right? But anyways, that'll be a separate video. Eliminating joy. Something that she said that also has always helped me is that everything that is possible exists, right? So even if you're in resistance, even if you're seeing opposite results, even if you're seeing no movement, there is a reality where, yes, that means that it didn't work. That means that it fucked up. That means that it's going to take long. And there's a reality where you had opposite results. You spiraled. It didn't look like there was any movement and you still got what you wanted. And that's that idea, you guys, of no matter what, right? No matter what, this is the idea of all ideas. No matter what, I'm getting what I want, period. No follow-up. Not if this happens or if that happens or if this person does that or if I do this. It's done, period. No follow-up. That's what it is. I'm accepting that as the truth, right? Okay. Next, stop forcing, okay? Stop forcing. And this happens when we check the 3D, right? So for me, for instance, in my SP journey, I would basically, do all my self-concept work as things would be going well with me in SP. And then I would check with him and talk to him like, okay, so what does this mean? Like, where are we at? Like, what's going on with us? He would say something I didn't like or I didn't want to hear. And then I would go into it's forcing the 3D doesn't always mean that you're doing something physically, right? Sometimes, and this is kind of like, it can be two-sided because in my opinion, honestly, the law of assumption is a very forceful way of manifesting. And it's not the only way, right? There's definitely easier and more effortless ways of manifesting. But the law of assumption is kind of like, do these things until it's done, right? But at some point, you have to accept that it is done, right? At some point, you have, and when you're trying to make it happen, right? There is nothing for you to make happen. There is no amount of action that will override your state of being or override what you like. There's no amount of action that's going to override your state and override what you really believe, right? Manifestation is a byproduct. It's not something that you force to happen. And when you're trying to force it, you're in more resistance, right? Because you're trying harder and harder and harder, which is discouraging you more and more and more, right? And you simply just don't have to do that. Your manifestation will unfold perfectly without you meddling, without you trying to help it along, And again, when you are forcing, right? When you're trying to force, you are in the consciousness of it's not done, right? It's not done. I need to make it be done, right? So opposing that is to come into gratitude, right? So here's a couple of ways that you can use gratitude. And you guys, I have been doing this for like the past week or so. And my mental health has just completely transformed. And I'm so happy. I feel more like myself, like my most powerful self than I have in a while. And a lot of it happened when I started doing my challenge that I did, the Robotic Affirming Challenge of everything in my life is perfect. I'm a perfect manifester, right? That really helped ease my mind, but I still had, you know, a little bit of things popping up here and there. And the gratitude was the final thing that kind of kicked me into good, like still like goodness, right? So here's the thing. How is gratitude helping, right? Number one, if you are just focused on things to be grateful for, right? You are putting yourself in the state of receiving, right? I was talking with a client earlier and I was telling her, when you think about planting a seed, right? There is the action where you have to dig up the dirt. You have to plant the seed, right? Put it there. Then you have to, of course, maintenance that. You got to water it, make sure that it's getting sun, make sure that it's, you know, not getting eaten by bugs or whatever, right? But the moment that the plant grows, right? The moment that the plant blooms is never the moment that you are digging, right? It's never the moment that you're in action. That happens as a result of your work, right? As a result of your work, it blooms. And this is the same thing with manifestation. Majority of the time, it's not when you're knee deep in techniques, you know, that your manifestation happens. It's the times where you're kind of just feeling good, or you're just going about your day, or you're just whatever, that the big manifestations happen. And it's because coming into the energy of receiving rather than the energy of trying to make happen. Those are two different energies, the energy of having, right? And so what gratitude does is it puts you in that energy of having. You are now looking around in your day instead of looking at what SP hasn't done, or what money hasn't shown up, or how you haven't had any movement with this, or when is this thing going to happen. That being like, just think about that for a minute, you guys. Being in that state all day is a state of what's missing, right? And what we give our attention to grows. So if we're all day giving attention to what's missing, what's wrong, why isn't this right yet? Why didn't this pop into place yet? Then you're perpetuating that energy. So when you come into the energy of, look at this thing, even if it's something as simple as, wow, I have food in my fridge to make, you know, sounds like a small, simple thing until you don't have it, right? Sounds like, oh yeah, whatever. You know, it's great to have food, you know, but I really want this SP, until you're hungry and you don't have any food, right? Then you'd give anything for food. But I say that to say that being grateful for just anything and practicing that during your day, after you doing your techniques or whatever, but throughout your day, being in the energy of, look what I have. Look what I have. Oh, look what else I have. Look what else I have. You're sending the signal to your brain to show you other things that you have, to give you more things. You're in the state of having, right? Which is the state that your manifestations appear in. A lot of times when I wanted I won't say every, because I've manifested so many things. I can't say what state I was in every manifestation. But for a lot of manifestations, I was either in an energy of certainty, right? Or just in a general energy of, I'm going to have what I want. I'm having, right? If I'm in an energy of, for me, you know, especially with my SP, when I was in the energy of doing techniques all day, every day, and doing this and doing that and doing, that was the time when I wasn't really seeing movement. Now, I'm not saying that it's for anything, that it's not necessary, because after I got into the receiving mode, I received all the stuff that I was doing. I saw the results from all the work that I put in. My plant sprouted, right? But it wasn't while I was planting it every day that it happened. So I'm intending that makes sense. Another way that you guys can use gratitude is to start being grateful for things surrounding your manifestation, right? Be grateful for, if you get a little teeny bit of movement, be grateful for that. If you see someone around you getting, you know, like what you want or whatever, see that birds before land as proof, evidence that mine is next. Like, I'm in line, like it's happening for me, right? See that, like, start being grateful. If you're like, you have an SP person, instead of focusing on all the things that they're doing wrong and all the things they're not doing, start focusing on the reason that you love them, right? And that worked really well for me with my SP as well. So that's some ways, but I'm telling you guys, just going into your mind without the idea of what am I missing and how can I force it into my reality, instead of go into your day, into your reality with the idea of I have everything, right? I am everything, and what can I appreciate? And that does so much, not only for your mental health, guys, but for your manifestations as well. It puts you into like a vibe where everything just works out for you because you're being very grateful. So it might sound law of attraction-y or whatever, but I don't care. I'm not going to, sometimes you guys, I'm just gonna be real. Like sometimes I feel like I can't say certain things or, you know, whatever, because people are so like, not everybody. Like I feel like you guys are the best YouTube community ever, but there's a lot of people within the law of assumption community that are so kind of like condescending and no, nothing can, you know, just whatever. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But I'm going to tell you guys what I feel works for me and what I feel can work for you guys. And here's the thing, you guys, there's no need for you to comment and say, oh, well, I don't like that. Like, I like doing this, or, oh, well, that's not true because blah, blah, blah. Like, there's no need for you to say that. If what I'm saying doesn't resonate with you, don't do it. It's that simple. If you are struggling, if you've been doing something for months or whatever, especially if you are like mentally burnt out, maybe you should try something else, but that's completely up to you. Okay. But I'm sharing from my experience, right? So the last do and don't is to stop accepting defeat, right? And this goes back to what I was saying in the first place when I first started the video, which is that stop using your 3D as a determination of yes, I'm gonna have it, or no, I'm gonna have it. Yes, it's gonna happen, or no, it's not, right? Stop accepting defeat, right? Instead, what I want you to do is to start seeing everything that happens, no matter what it is, as evidence that this is going on. If you see, and this is something that I do too, if you see, like, let's say you're manifesting with your SP and you see a loving couple on the street, take that as, wow, I created that, right? Wow, this is evidence. Like, I'm seeing a loving couple. That's evidence that I'm gonna have that. Because so many people are waiting for signs or looking for signs or saying, what does this mean? This is happening, you know? Like, this is happening. What does that mean? Somebody else got my desire. What does that mean? I'm seeing repeated numbers. What does that mean? You know, this and that happened. What does that mean? Everything means what you say it means. So make it mean that your desire is happening. Make every single thing mean that your desire is happening. Stop waiting for signs and create them, right? Start to see every single thing as, this is proof that it's working out for me. This is proof that it's working out for me, okay? And a little bonus tip for you guys is, of course, to do mental rejection, which is how I choose to, you know, deal with the 3D, but I guess that's along the lines of ignoring the 3D. So that's really it, you guys. So stop checking, start ignoring or accepting, stop forcing, start having gratitude for where you are and everything around. Stop accepting defeat. And take everything as a sign that your desire is yours, okay? So if you made it this far, then you like the video. Like it, please. Share it with your friends. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. I want to do another challenge, you guys. I'm probably going to make a post and ask you guys what you guys would like it to be about. But other than that, you guys, I just want to end this off with saying the state of trying to get and the state of having your manifestation are two different states. When you are in the state of having is when it will pop into your 3D, okay? I love you guys. I'm intending that this prospers you, uplifts you, makes sense, and I will see you guys in a video soon.